Okay, here we go.
Excellent.
Yay.
Okay, can everybody see my
Oh, cool.
photographer and graphic designer? Thank you, Canva.
Oh man.
Oh,
That's
you
awesome.
can't keep us down. You know, we got to do it.
Well, I feel so bad. I'm gonna be away for Halloween, so I can't do any like cute Halloween thing. I do have something planned for the next or this upcoming weekend. That'll be fall themed, so you'll stay tuned for that. So everybody, welcome to our October 2021 edition of the spooky Penrose Neighborhood Association meeting. So we're going to start out with again with the treasurer's report and membership update. And then at 7:05, we're going to hear from Tim Dempsey, the founder of Oral Fiber, on the benefits of community broadband and his upcoming county-funded 2022 feasibility study. So that's big news. And then at 7:30, we're going to have a presentation from JD Spain, president of the Arlington branch NAACP, on their upcoming Freedom Fund, or excuse me, trying to move my box here. Here we go. Fund Freedom Virtual Banquet on October 28th, and the current call for Civilian Oversight Board submission. 7:45, we'll have our Penrose officer election via Survey Monkey. There's nothing in the bylaws that stipulated how we had to have this, so we'll just do it that way. And then 8 o'clock, we get some closing notes and a bunch of community concerns and updates we'll run through. So, sound good?
Sounds good to me.
So, Tim, I'm going to bring it over to you and let you do a screen share. So, give me one moment. Oh, yeah, well, treasurer report, we'll hit that first. So, current cash on hand, $3,843 as of today. And we have 48 dues paying members with an asterisk. I didn't go in and break down who were household members and who were individuals. So we have household members within that, so it's going to be higher than the 48. So when I get a moment, I'll go down and break those up. Okay, and we got Tim. So let me give him permission. Okay. Tim, is it allowing you on your end to do the screen share?
It is, yes.
Okay, excellent.
And we may want everybody who is not presenting to mute.
Mute, that would be great.
Until we have any discussion.
All right, can you guys see my screen? All right. All right, so Alex, thank you, and to everybody else at Penrose, thank you for inviting me to speak tonight. I'm going to try to move through this fairly quickly because really there's like a ton of information I can present, and I think it's probably better for you to get like just a very fast overview, and then people can ask questions. It's probably a better way to approach this. So my name is Tim Dempsey. I'm a resident of Arlington since about 2011. I live in the Douglas Park area, 22204, so I'm right down the road from you guys. I am the founder, I guess, or a co-founder of this group, Oral Fiber. And to give a slightly very brief background on it, we had originally started this group because we've been interested in the issue of digital equity and the digital divide in South Arlington. And so I worked with a group of other people. And our original project was to try to kind of start maybe a member-owned cooperative that would lease existing fiber infrastructure that the county had to try to provide for a bunch of affordable housing complexes in the Green Valley area and some other parts of Columbia Pike. So we had been working on that, but very slowly. Most of us were kind of amateurs. None of us have a background in this particular field. But we just had this idea and we saw the need and we started meeting with people to talk about it. But then when the pandemic hit, this became a full-blown crisis of having access to the internet. We kind of pivoted to a new strategy that basically would just call on the county to actually solve this problem on their own, or at least take the steps towards giving themselves more capacity to do it. So that's kind of the background now. And this is essentially, I will, with that in mind, will proceed kind of with my slides here. So the problem with the internet in the United States is pretty ubiquitous. The biggest problem is that we have high prices and we have very poor customer service. There have been multiple studies that have been done nationally now that have shown the United States in comparison with its peers in industrialized countries pays some of the highest prices for internet, in the world. And for that, we do not get very good service, actually, by comparison. Here in Arlington, well, nationally, obviously, we have a major digital divide within urban areas, and it's between urban and rural areas. Per capita, despite what you hear about the rural problem, per capita, actually, the urban digital divide is much worse, just because there's just way more people living in cities that don't have access. But essentially, the two kind of poles of this problem is that on one hand, in the city, it's generally just too costly for people to subscribe, so they don't. Whereas in the rural areas, a lot of times they just lack literally physical access to infrastructure that is defined as broadband by the Federal Communications Commission. So anyway, here in Arlington, the digital divide that's been surveyed several times now by the county, there's about 16% of households that do not have service at home. On top of that, we know that there's a fairly entrenched monopoly as far as the commercial buildings go. About 60% of commercial building here is served only by Verizon. There's an unknown but probably very high number of multi-unit residential, what they call the multi-tenant dwellings or environments, where there's only one provider. And we hear this very often from people anecdotally and all kinds of buildings here throughout the county. They say, yeah, my only provider is Comcast. And so obviously you can imagine a scenario like that where you have literally no option other than that you're not going to get good service for fair prices, basically. I mean, it's a classic monopoly situation. And essentially, because of certain restrictions that the county has faced, and the fact that so many people were facing digital divide or lack of access at the beginning of the pandemic, when everyone was moving to online, basically online services en masse, particularly the schools, the county had to scramble to do what it could to try to provide home service to as many people as they could. And the only way they could do that, the best way that they could do that, was to set up the hotspots, obviously, which they did using the public network, which was great, but obviously it has its drawbacks. And then on top of that, they used about $500,000 of the CARES Act money that they got to just basically subsidize this very kind of low income, very low service plan by Comcast that frankly actually does not meet the general standards that you would need to use these kind of applications that involve upload, download, and upload side very heavy. Just basically we're not adequate, frankly, even with the Comcast even bumping up the service a little bit from what it usually uses for its Internet Essentials program. And then, as I kind of alluded to, in Virginia, the state law places all kinds of restrictions on how we can use our network. So right now, I'll get into Arlington networks in a second here. So the solution that we were proposing for these problems is kind of twofold. One is that we think the county should form what's called a broadband authority, which is a special legal authority that Virginia gives localities in order to basically deploy broadband infrastructure and provide service, which I'll get into in a second. And the second part of that is that we think that the county really needs to take a hard look at basically just creating a public network that's publicly owned, it's fiber to the home or premises, and basically providing service either in partnership with some other private companies or itself or whatever. Once again, I'll talk about that in a minute. So just a brief overview for anyone who doesn't know it. Our existing broadband assets are Connect Arlington, which is a public network that the county started to build out in the early 2010s, using a combination of federal stimulus funds at that time, in addition to some bonds that they had passed around that time. And basically what they did is they set up a fiber network that goes to all of the county-owned buildings, all the schools, the community centers, and I think most of the traffic lights now and things like that. So it's a rather well-developed network that sprawls throughout most of the county. Right now it's being used, like I said, to provide internet to the schools and the county buildings and enhances public safety and infrastructure and all that. In addition to all of that kind of public-oriented use, the county laid a ton of additional fiber optic, fallow, unlit, dark, what they call dark fiber, for the purpose of hoping that other private interests might come along and try to lease this from them to provide service or to enhance maybe options for people throughout the county. It didn't happen, unfortunately. So right now, as I mentioned, they can't use this network to do anything except for to provide service to publicly owned buildings and basically serve and publicly owned buildings. So the only way they can get around that is actually very simple, and very rare that these things happen in Virginia. That it's so simple to solve a situation like this. But what they can do is they can form what's called a broadband authority. It's under this part of the Virginia Code called the Virginia Wireless Services Authority Act, which is a misnomer. I mean, I don't know why they put wireless in the name, but you can provide whatever service you want using any kind of infrastructure that you want. There's about 34 of these. They're not by any way unique or rare in Virginia. There's already 34 of these that have been formed throughout, and there's more being formed all the time. And they have a broad range to do whatever they want. Frankly, they can undertake whatever projects they want. They can bond, they can borrow, they can charge for service, they can enter into contracts. And the best thing is, from the local county's point of view, this has already been challenged by the incumbent telecommunications corporations. They already sued one of the major broadband authorities out in Eastern Shore. It went to the SCC. SCC ruled that this is perfectly, this is unassailable legally. The General Assembly had made their intention clear that localities should have the power to do this. So that's already been tried in courts. It's not a lawsuit liability, basically, for the county. And like I said, it's a very simple process to form these things. The county would hold a public hearing. They would pass a resolution, and then the paperwork would go to the SCC, where they would rubber stamp it in like a month or two. Right now, the county has this fiber infrastructure in the ground, and what we are proposing is that they look at doing building out the fiber infrastructure so that it does residential and service to businesses and whoever else might want it, anchor institutions, hospitals, universities, whoever. And there's a very specific reason why we're calling for fiber, and I'm sure like a lot of you have heard things like 5G. Now like a new kind of buzzword now is the CBRS, is in broadband radio service. There's all these kind of new kind of gimmicks out there in terms of providing a wireless high-speed service. But the fact of the matter is that all of those pale in comparison to fiber optic cable going right to your premises. It provides the absolute best service imaginable. It's scalable. Right now, the benefits of it are basically that the county would have to lay out a lot of money to do this. But once it's in the ground, it's the cheapest option to run, particularly in contrast to most of the wireless services. You have to replace the equipment all the time. With the fiber, you're only replacing one part at the end that's lighting the fiber and sending the signal over it. And so it's basically, and this has come out in the federal guidelines recently for all the federal money that's now going to broadband. They're basically encouraging fiber to the home as the public investment. Because it's the only one that allows, like I said, it's the only broadband technology that exists right now that can provide what they call symmetrical service. So you have the same speed going up and down, and it's long lasting, and it has right now, at least at the theoretical level, doing lab tests. I mean, like it has the greatest capacity for growth. I mean, like I said, as I was alluding, there's lab tests right now that are showing that existing fiber optic cables that we have right now in the ground that were produced decades ago are capable of sending 100 terabytes of data at a time. If you compare that to something like what you can get for Verizon right now, where it's like gig up and down. Essentially, that is why we're saying that any kind of investment that the county is going to make would have to be in a fiber optic to the home and premises. This is just to show you like a capacity chart. You can see cable modem right now is with Comcast. All Comcast is still based on the old cable TV networks. It's a very outdated technology, and even if they use their newfangled like new software, this what's called DOCSIS. They can really only get it to 1 gigabit, but even then, it won't be symmetrical. Your DSL, obviously, is old copper networks, not very fast. You know, you can see like the Elon Musk, his satellite things, like none of this is barely even reaching a gigabit. And the only thing that goes well beyond it right now is fiber to the premises. And this right here, just to show you, this is what capacity, bandwidth needs for various institutional applications. Once you get into things like video conferencing with multiple people, like we're doing right now, or you're doing things like telehealth and certain kind of medical related data transfers, you really need to be moving into the higher side of the bandwidth spectrum that really right now is only being achieved through fiber optics. So right now, what we're asking the county to do is to basically study creating a countywide fiber optic network that people can subscribe to. We're not necessarily dictating what we think that model should be in terms of who would be providing service. There's about 3 models that are practiced right now in terms of publicly owned networks in the country. There's basically the full retail where the county owns the infrastructure and provides the service. There's a great example of that in Chattanooga in Tennessee. Here in Virginia on the Eastern Shore, that's exactly the model they use. A few other cities around the country have set up another setup where they basically own a lot of the infrastructure, but they partner with a third-party provider to provide service. In Westminster in Maryland, they have a fairly well-known model there. They set up with Ting, it's the internet company in Canada, and Huntsville, Alabama, partnered with Google to do this. And the third thing that can be the third kind of model that we see is what they call an open access network, where you generally also, once again, have publicly owned infrastructure, but you'll have multiple private providers that in various ways are competing to provide service over that publicly owned infrastructure. And there's the largest of this is in Utah. It's a network called Utopia, runs through several cities, and they have dozens and dozens of providers competing to provide service there. Another one is Ammon in Idaho, a smaller network. They have a very innovative network that's based entirely, they have a software-defined network where everything is done digitally. There's a digital marketplace where you go and you can choose providers there. So Alex had said that I was going to talk about the benefits. I would say probably the biggest benefit in terms of the subscriber side is that the community networks are just cheaper. The ones that have been set up, these are literally just a very broad sampling of or a select sampling of a number of multiple networks that exist in the country right now. You can see this is what they're paying for a symmetrical gigabit up and down gig speeds. And these, there's no contracts here with these networks. They don't throttle, they don't spy on you and collect your data. They don't do any of that bad stuff. And they all have excellent customer service because they're locally based, and they're hiring people who hire people locally to handle all the tech support and all that. And a lot of them don't even charge installation fees. And these prices, I should mention, a lot of these networks are newer. And what we've seen with these networks is that as they grow and they get more people on it, the price goes down over time. So if you look at Ammon right there, they're charging about $50 right now. They started out at about 90, so they've been moving down, over time. So, if you compare that to right now, what you get from Comcast or Verizon here in Arlington, I mean, it's just, those prices are going to keep going up because there's only 2 of them and they barely have to even compete with each other here. So having a third kind of publicly oriented network would be a benefit. And all these networks, I would also say, are doing amazing things on a digital divide. The Highlight in Hillsborough charges $10 for gigabit service to their low-income areas. EPB in Chattanooga is providing free 300 symmetrical service to a number of its low-income people. And on top of that, they're doing all kind of digital divide work on training and providing, the devices to use it, obviously. So in summary, I say that the steps that we we've been pushing for the county to do is that, hey, we just want them to form the authority. Regardless of whether they create a countywide network or not, they need to have an authority, because it's the only way they can make the best use out of their existing network right now. Right now, because of the state law, they literally cannot build the infrastructure on any private property. They can't provide service directly to any private entities. So, we couldn't use it to provide internet to school children, directly to their homes as a result of the existing laws governing the dark fiber network. If they formed an authority, they could do all of that, anything they want, frankly. Give them carte blanche. Over time, we would like them actually just to transfer everything, that all the existing assets that they have over to the authority, and just have the authority be running the entire existing network to the schools and all that, which is what they're doing in the Eastern Shore, for instance. We think with the broadband authority, they should consider regional partners. Falls Church and Alexandria are looking to build a similar network like Connect Arlington. It would be good to talk with them, because the broadband authority can incorporate several localities. The Roanoke Broadband Authority and the Eastern Shore both incorporate several counties and cities as part of it. So you can do some cost sharing, and also, increase your jurisdiction, basically. We can leverage a lot of federal support that's coming in. There's a lot of federal money that's been passed that can go to projects right now. So it would help us if we had an authority, once again, just to do projects, even if it's not a full scale network. And then the last thing, obviously, and this is some of the good news I've gotten recently, but we've been asking the county board to do a full scale study that would actually look at what the cost and the benefits and challenges of building a countywide network would be. And right now, it looks like they're about to allocate a serious set of money to do that. We're going to see in coming days what the actual RFP is going to look like, but we've heard that they're talking about $200,000 to actually study this, which would be around the kind of sum you would need when you take into consideration things like engineering cost and all the rest. So, obviously, if you want to learn more, you can go to our website, arlfiber.org. We have a petition there you can sign. There's an FAQ. There'll be some blog posts to cover a bunch of things that have been happening in the space in the county over the last year and a half. And that's it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk for as long as I did. Like I said, there's a lot of information to share. But I guess I'll stop and open up for Q&A.
Yep, Tim, you're perfect. You got 5 minutes to spare, 5 minutes for questions, so right on time. So we'll open the floor. Anybody else who has any questions, comment?
So it's Pete. Tim, what do you think should come first, the study by the county or the authority? I got a little confused on that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's really confusing. Like, essentially, what they should do is form an authority, regardless of the study would basically just say, can we do what these other places have done, and just have a residential full scale network that anyone can subscribe to that wants to. But aside from that, what we would like them to do is form the authority, because right now they're hamstrung. They can't use this network for anything without being potentially sued by the incumbents, so without the authority they can't make use of the network. And I should say parenthetically, we just had I should say, if you go to our website, we just had a forum where we had a bunch of the county board members and staff come listen to people who are from these other networks. And one of the speakers that we had in our forum is from Portsmouth, Virginia. And they, like us, have this kind of public dark fiber network that during the pandemic, they formed an authority and used CARES Act to provide wireless service to a number of their public housing complexes. So Arlington, can't do that. And there's a lot of examples where Arlington was trying to do things like that, and they got into trouble because they just, they won't form an authority. And I can't tell you why they won't do it. We've asked them, to get a direct answer, and there really hasn't been a good one. I don't know if they have some kind of agreement, gentleman agreements with Verizon and Comcast or what, but yeah, the first thing you'd want to do is form the authority and then do a study. because like regardless of the outcome of the study, fine, you know, if they say it's prohibitively costly or engineering wise impossible to do it, that's fine. We should still have the authority. Like it's just, you know, it just makes no sense not to have one. There's no penalty to having one. There's nothing. It's just a legal. It's literally just a legal permission from the state to provide broadband services, basically.
And I got one more question for you, Tim. This is from Chris. He asked, how does this relate to services which are bundled and those which are not?
So yeah, I guess this is another kind of hairy thing. Under the state law right now, a broadband authority cannot provide cable television services. So that would be one thing you wouldn't get. But from everyone we've talked to, that is basically a sunset industry, and a lot of the existing carriers are right now stuck with having all these long-term contracts on TV cable agreements, and everybody's cutting the cord and going to streaming. You know, a few people are even using it. So yeah, I mean, if you were to subscribe to, for instance, to a Arlington Broadband Authority subscription, you would only be able to get telephone, you know, the VoIP or whatever, and an internet service. You wouldn't get cable. You'd have to use streaming services for that. So that is true. That would be one thing. So basically, the bundle would only probably include telephone and internet.
And I think, as you mentioned, with all these folks, you know, especially, you know, I'm 25. Most of my friends, we don't have cable. Everybody's cut the cord. My family, we don't even have cable anymore. We get something actually through T-Mobile, our cell phone provider. We used to have something through Verizon, but I think that bundle with just the voice over IP and internet connectivity would be pretty enticing to people who want to save and do all their, you know, cut the cord on traditional media and just do Netflix, Hulu, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
sounds very enticing. Well, thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate having you on.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So Tim, one more thing. This is very interesting. So the next step for us would be to go and sign your petition. I'm not clear about what we could do to support.
Yeah, I know. I'm so bad at this. Yes. If you would go on and sign a petition, that would be very welcome. And then if you sign a petition, you'll be kind of added to our mailing list, which we use very infrequently. We will not spam you. But at some point, there may be a call where we do ask people who have signed a petition to send an email directly to the board and asking them to kind of, you know, push forward with this. We're not sure, we're still waiting to see what the RFP is going to look like, but we're hopeful at this point. But it would be helpful for them to hear from people that, you know, that there's interest in this, I think.
Very good.
Perfect. And I just dropped in the chat the direct link to the petition for folks to sign if they're interested. I'm certainly going to sign.
Right.
So,
and if you, like I said, if you really want to see what other networks are doing, and it's really amazing, you can watch our forum. There's, you know, we have an audio file if you just want to listen while you're, you know, on your walk or, you know, during your chores or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you want to see what other networks are doing, it's amazing what they've done, you know, and just you compare it to what we get from these corporate owned, you know, telecoms. It's just night and day difference between having a publicly oriented community owned network. So
yeah, I think it would be a
well, thank you, Tim. And one more time, at Chris's point in the chat, that's www.arlfiber.org. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tim.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Signing. Excellent. Okay, let me pull my screen share back up. Here we go. Okay, can everybody see this? Okay, cool. So next we have a presentation from Mr. J.D. Spain, president of the Arlington branch NAACP, on their upcoming Freedom Fund virtual banquet on October 28th and call for Civilian Oversight Board submission. So here we go.
Well, hello, Penrosians. How you doing? I want to see some.
Well,
I've taken on, you know, Penrosian. There you go, Judy. Throw your hands up. And everyone, and Jackie, because I am a Penrosian, okay? And just to let you know, Alex, in full transparency, I asked the comms team Did I freeze?
No, you're good. You're good. I can hear you.
I think I froze here a little bit. I asked the comms team to share this meeting with a few folks in our branch, so you may start seeing people come on.
We appreciate that.
Because I'm going to rep my neighborhood. With that being said, again, thank you. Have you had elections already? I came in a bit late.
Not yet. Not yet. Right after you. Yep.
Well, first, I want to say, thank you to my good friend Mary Pete Durgan for her, her commitment over many years to Penrose and our citizens. It does not go unnoticed, and that we are definitely indebted to her service, her volunteerism, and representing a very diverse and inclusive neighborhood of Arlington. So thank you, Mary Pete. And I know you're going to stick around a little bit. I think I saw something about that. So, and we love you, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for
I echo those sentiments.
thank you, Alex, for offering me the invitation to come and speak. Just briefly, many of you know me, but I'm just going to, NAACP, yeah, we've kind of revitalized in the past few years. We are very active in many areas here in Arlington, whether it's form-based code, schools, housing, criminal justice reform, education, you name it, the full gamut. We are out there. Our membership right now is well over 900 paid members, and we're continuing to push on. And I was speaking with someone earlier today. I always have to dispel this myth. People think like the NAACP is like this Black organization that you can't be a part of. And I have to remind folks, like, okay, history. Like 1909, the NAACP was founded by an interracial group of activists, right? There were Blacks, there were Jews, there were whites. I mean, and there's some rich history, and that's our foundation, right? You may not see that in many areas, I guess, or where you've perhaps been, but we are quite diverse. And I truly believe in that multi-generational, multicultural aspect of our organization. And if you've been monitoring the NAACP here in Arlington, you've seen how we've kind of evolved, right? And that's a testament to a lot of good folks. So with that being said, you can go ahead to the next slide, Alex. So, you see my screensaver behind me. Next Thursday, we're going to have our 2021 Freedom Fund virtual banquet. And this is a time for us to take a pause, recognize individuals in our community who have done amazing work in our community over the past year. Earlier today, well, actually last night at our membership meeting, we made the official announcement. I'm not sure if you have that slide, Alex, of who.
Yeah, I don't have that one yet, but you can, if you have it, you're welcome to read off.
Or can I screen share, or you just
sure, absolutely. Yep. Let me switch that over to you. Give me one moment. Okay, you're good to screen share.
Good. So we had a Freedom Fund Banquet Committee who made recommendations to the executive committee who met on Sunday, and we took on those recommendations and voted. And last night at our general membership meeting, we made the official announcement. These are our award winners this year for the Willard W. Woody Britton Community Appreciation Award. And in each of these awards, if you go to our website, it'll talk extensively about what this award is all about. We have Macedonia Baptist Church and Trustee Lamont West for their work during COVID. Down here in South Arlington, more especially in Green Valley, Macedonia Baptist Church was the first Black church, right, to kind of stand up a vaccination site during COVID, a very dark time in our history, and a host of other things. So they're being recognized. If you look to your right, who doesn't know Wilma Jones? Wilma Jones has just done an amazing job, stayed on the battlefield for social justice and civil rights, and we're going to be recognizing her with the Henry L. Holmes Meritorious Service Award. Down to your lower right, you'll see the Public Defender for Arlington County, Mr. Brad Haywood, the Charles P. Monroe Civil Rights Award. And Brad, when I think about, social justice, civil rights, and policy, right? Brad has been one who over the past couple of years has really been at the tip of the spear. And he was recognized for that. And he was nominated So we're going to be recognizing him as well. And over to the bottom right, you'll see this is our inaugural award. It's called the Esther G. Cooper Civil Rights Activist of the Year Award. Esther G. Cooper, my friends, was one of the blazing civil rights activists here in Arlington back in 1940, long before I showed up on the scene. But she was also the first president of Arlington Branch NAACP, and she was instrumental in the area of education. So we thought it was just appropriate, and something I brought to the branch and to the committee was that previously we gave out the Henry L. Holmes Award, the Willard W. Britton Award, the Charles P. Monroe Award, but something was just missing. And I'll tell you what it was. There was no woman, right? And I was like, well, and how could that be when Esther G. Cooper was the founder? She started our branch. But it's also in that same vein, we wanted to kind of just separate and just start an inaugural Civil Rights Activist of the Year Award. And this year it's going to go to the Wakefield football team, okay? Wakefield football team, many of you were following last year. There was some racial epithets and things that happened to with a game with Marshall. Yeah, and in that vein, of course, they stood up. They, during a very challenging time, their senior year during COVID, and there's more to it, but we're going to recognize them as well next Thursday night. That's my pitch on that. So what else do you have there? Okay. Oh yeah. So for the Freedom Fund banquet, next Thursday, we actually have the pleasure of being able to bring in Jennifer Carroll Foy is not new to the Arlington Branch NAACP. She was actually an awardee a couple years back, but we had a speaker kind of lined up. Actually, the state attorney out of Baltimore, some things happened with work, and we kind of rearranged a few things. So Jennifer Carroll Foy is going to be with us to do our welcoming address, 10-15 minutes, I think. It will be live, none of this will be recorded. And this year, of course, we have the pleasure of bringing in the number 2, I say, in the NAACP, Mr. Leon W. Russell, who is the chairman of the board of directors for the NAACP. This is national, right? So we're going to bring him in. He's going to be our keynote speaker. This is not recorded. This will be live. So we hope that those of you that are in the Penrose community of Arlington, right, our friends and neighbors, how you doing, Kelly? I see you messing around on your camera. We'll go to our website and join us on this glorious occasion where we're not just out, agitating per se, but we're actually lifting up those that did some amazing work over the past year or so during COVID. We're also going to give some donations, right, to our some nonprofits here in Arlington. These are the prices. I tell the committee, we're not trying to break the bank for nobody. We need just enough to break even, have a good time. But these are our sponsorships. I know some organizations get in here and they want to charge $1,000 here and no, that's not what this is all about. This is about the mission and objective and the business of the NAACP. So if you want to be a platinum sponsor, gold sponsor, silver sponsor, or if you just want to just come and partake in what we got going on, it's only $30. But these are options. All of this is on our website. We have a great communications chair who keeps it updated. Is there another slide, Alex, that you put together? Yeah, here we go. All right. All those links right there are appropriate. Yeah, next. You have anything?
Yep. On the COB. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yep.
Who in Penrose, who in Arlington does not know about the Community Oversight Board, right? And what the Arlington branch of the NAACP, along with a few of our allies, that what we took part in over the past year. The General Assembly gave municipalities the authority to implement and put in place community oversight boards, civilian oversight boards, whatever. Initially, if you pay strict attention, they called it a civilian oversight board here in the county, but we said no, we're going to keep it in time in keeping with the legislation. Community oversight board, because words do matter. So I'm not going to read all this, but long story short on it, Arlington County will have a community oversight board. In fact, that's already been voted on. There's a call out right now for voting for members to make up this board. We at the NAACP are monitoring that closely. One thing we'll be watching is the diversity of the board. We don't want a bunch of lawyers coming on the board. We want, regardless of your socioeconomic background, we want you to come, at least apply, Ultimately, the county board will make the selections, but there will also be 2 non-voting members of law enforcement on this board. We think this is a good start. We didn't get everything we wanted, but I tell you what, we got about 95% of it, and it was a battle. Many of y'all watched, it was a battle, and we ended up having public comment, and we had to, we did what we had to do, but we did it for the people. What's the next slide?
And that's it.
That's it.
all good.
So you pull that screen down because I want to see everybody. Alex, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
All my good people. So we have some folks from the NAACP that popped on. I know our comms team sent this out. They knew I was talking tonight, so I just wanted to, we send that out because we're all in this together, right? We're a family, Alex and Brian and Jackie and Chris and Joanne. It doesn't. We talk about North Arlington, South Arlington, but to me, it's Arlington, right? And that's the way I view it. And we have some work to do here in South Arlington. But there's nothing, together we stand, divided we fall. So there's nothing we can't do together. And so with that being said, I'll open up to any questions you may have. We're still going to stay on this battlefield for social justice and civil rights. We're not going anywhere. The Virginia State Conference is going on right now. We have some folks going there. I haven't been able to attend like I wanted to. There's not too much going on right now. I think we did some advocacy stuff tonight, but that's going on as well. We just stay busy in Virginia, right? But my focus is on my community, right? And your focus is on Penrose. And we need to ensure, we know how many people in Penrose. There's a lot of folks in Penrose.
7,300.
How many?
7,300.
7,300 people just in Penrose.
Yep.
That's a lot of families.
Yep.
And, between the developers that are coming in along the pike, right?
Oh, yeah.
And all things in between. I won't use this as an opportunity to criticize anybody, but there's more work to get done here. And we need advocates outside of the NAACP as well, with our civic associations and all working in tandem to ensure that no one is left behind.
That's right.
So we're not trying to turn this into a Beverly Hills 22204, okay?
Yep.
But we also want people to be safe, be prosperous, be healthy, get a good education, and thrive. All right. That's what it's all about. Any questions? Thank you, Alex, for the time. Mary Pete, again, I love you, sis. It was good. It was great seeing you the other day over at Columbia Pike Partnership. And I know you're not going anywhere. And if y'all need anything from Penrose Civic Association, even though I'm a Penrosian, just call me. Alex has my number. Mary Pete has my number. Walk to my house and no, this is Zoom. I was going to give out my address, but y'all can find me. It's the 2-story burgundy house at the end of the cul-de-sac on First Place South. Okay, that's me. Over next Butler.
I'll give you the host.
All right. Any questions for me, y'all?
Anybody got anything? I think that's it.
Looking forward to the meeting.
Yep, I'll be there. I'm a silver level sponsor. I'll be there. So
that's right. I think I saw your name on something there, Alex. Chris S had her hand up.
Yeah, I just have a question about what's our area NAACP doing in regard, if anything, to this redistricting issue in Virginia?
Yeah, great question. So good question. We are the Virginia State Conference actually has solicited input from not only all the branches, but also we have looked for individuals who are members of the NAACP to serve on the redistricting kind of like committee we have. But we're definitely involved in conversations and monitoring that closely. We all know, the Democrats and the Republicans, the consultants have all made some proposals as it relates to the redistricting efforts. But we want to make sure at the end of the day, NAACP, that is fair and that it's not drawn in a way that disproportionately affects communities of color, right? But if you want to be involved more, reach out to the NAACP. I'm not sure if you're a member, but we can definitely let you know what we're doing at the state level. As far as the branch level, we haven't had a lot of conversation one-on-one with we've had people volunteer and go speak, but we haven't taken a branch position. The NAACP State Conference has been doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Okay. I was on the last election, I was very concerned, and I think it proved to be true, that people voted yes without understanding what they were really voting for.
Well,
Anyway.
you want to talk elections, Chris, that's like getting a sample ballot with a whole bunch of faces on there.
Right.
A lot of times you don't know what you're getting. You're just doing it because somebody told you to do it. But I appreciate and applaud your thought about really, a lot of folks don't understand the second and third order effects, the immediate effects actually of redistricting, right? And we're already seeing that it's possible, right? That some of our state legislators, if some of these new proposals were to go forward, may shake things up a little bit here in Arlington, right? So thank you, Chris, for recognizing that.
And Chris, to your point, Arlington was actually the only locality in the Commonwealth of Virginia that overwhelmingly voted no on the amendment. So
Right.
silver lining, I'm not here to criticize anybody or,
Right.
I have my own strong feelings about how things are shaking up. And to JD's point before he jumps off, yeah, I mean, I've seen some of these maps where we have Delegate Alfonso. I'm in the 49th. Most of us all here in Penrose are 49.
Yeah.
We got Delegate Lopez might have to duke it out with Delegate Patrick Hope the way they called the 49th. So it's gonna interesting political rumble we might be in for. So
and two great public servants. I totally get it. I do want to say thank you again to everyone. I know we had a bunch of people come on who follow the NAACP, and thank you for joining. I'm going to stick around for a while, but you're not obligated, but I'm glad you came on to hear the remarks. Penrose Association, Civic Association, again, is a neighborhood in Arlington that I, of course, call home. I speak to a lot of civic associations, but the invite came to me and I wanted to come out here tonight, and I'm not going to turn down Penrose. I can't do that, Alex. And I'll say this publicly, Alex, if there's anything you need from me as a Penrosian, let me know. Outside of what I do in the NAACP, me and my wife, Adriana, we will be there to help aid and assist you and your team, okay?
Oh, we greatly appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, JD. Okay, let me see what we got next. Let me jump back into this screen share here. Okay, everybody see my screen? Okay, so time for our election here. So yeah, let me drop this link in the chat here. So Pete and I were going over our bylaws, looking, were there any specific stipulations, any kind, methodology we needed to go through to elect our new officer panel? And no, I guess it's pretty much up to our discretion. So we figured, Pete said, why don't we just use SurveyMonkey? So I said, cool, we'll go ahead and do it. So I'm going to share this with everybody in the chat, and everybody can take a few minutes to go vote. Your options are quite limited. There are no options, but yep. So I'll let everybody go ahead and do that. Let me drop that in the chat real quick.
Where am I going here? I'm sorry, Alex.
Oh, you're fine, Chris. So it's right there in the chat on the right. It's that link to surveymonkey.com. Oh, you might be looking at your direct message to me. I'll directly message it to you. You should see it right now. Give me 1 second. There you go. You seeing it?
Am I looking in my email or I'm looking on?
So it's in the chat box of the Zoom link next to your video screen. So are you able to see at the bottom of the screen where it says you can mute, you can stop the video, security, participants? There should be a little bubble there that says chat. And if you click on that, you should see the link pop up.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and vote too.
Thank you.
I'm on my phone. I've never used it on my phone and don't know how to chat.
I'm not sure. I've never used it on my phone either. Do you see? Do you want to show me what your phone looks like? Well, you can't do that because you're looking at the phone. Or, yeah, that's not gonna work.
Well, you know, it's not,
Kelly, I
do
just
it.
sent you a text.
There you go.
I sent you a text with the link. And so you should be able to click on the link, which should open in your browser.
Right.
If anybody else needs it, we can do that for others as well.
Thank you, Judy.
But
No,
for the
it's
most
not
part,
easy,
once you
like,
click on the
currently-
link, it's going to actually open in your browser.
Right. Okay.
Oh, suspense, suspense.
Now I'm getting all this Survey Monkey news survey stuff. I'm like, what is this?
It came up and I did it.
Okay.
Yay.
Is it asking everybody else all these like demographic questions at the end? I don't know why it's asking me that.
No.
I
Okay.
didn't get
It
any
might
of
just be
those.
something on my end.
I just did the original questions and ignored the rest.
Oh, okay. Okay, everybody get a chance to fill it out? Everybody set?
I'm good.
Okay, we do another screen share. All right, there we go. 11 total responses. And where are the results? Analyze results. So, the suspense was just killing everybody. So, boom, President, yours truly, Vice President.
Yay!
So I've talked to George recently, and he's willing to stay on. He's very busy, so he's willing to step down if somebody is more active than him wants to step up and do it. So, you know anybody, send them my way. He is now officially our treasurer. Stephanie is staying on as our form-based code representative, and I am so grateful and appreciative. Darcy Tuffman is staying on as our NCAC representative, and I'm very appreciative. And then we are still vacant a secretary. So if you know anybody, please send them my way.
Alex,
Yes.
I wrote my name in just because I didn't know how else to say. I'm happy to volunteer if nobody
Okay.
else can do it.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay. That's great. We'll talk and we'll get you patched in. Sounds good. Okay. So Chris will be our secretary. Excellent. Appreciate that. All right. Let me get back to the PowerPoint.
Chris, what's your last name?
Sheehy, like Sheehy Ford, Sheehy.
My mom was like, should we pop some champagne? Like,
I am very, very happy.
he's like, woo, I'm free. Okay.
No, I've loved doing this job, but you know, there comes a time when you're just ready to turn it over to somebody else, and it's the best thing to turn it over. So, yay! I'm so glad you stepped up, Alex.
Thank you. I'm so proud to do this. I've been in Penrose for 23 years. I've gone to school here at Hoffman, Boston. I'm an H.B. Woodlawn graduate. I'm, civically, politically engaged. So I'm jumping in, off the diving board head first. So let's get to work. So, and on the topic of work, I got a few community updates. Pete and I have been to various meetings with local stakeholders in the area. So we'll start with some of the good news. Construction at 2300 9th Street South, where that BM Smith property was there by, what was that, an M&T Bank? Or it used to be. So construction's finally resumed after that ridiculous hiatus. I don't know what the heck is going on over there, but they're at it, they're working, so good. We like to see it. So, and Chris had met with us recently last week. Gave us a variety of concerns about trash buildup, which was another concern with, where's my fifth slide here? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so Chris had met with Pete and I to discuss a pile up of the Penrose Giant shopping carts along the pike. I used to work at that Penrose Giant, and I've seen these shopping carts strewn along the pike for years, and everybody keeps complaining, and there's so much overturn with the general manager there, and there's just no response. So I'm proposing, I think this would be the best course of action, are for them to cough up some money for some GPS wheel locks for all the carts. So they're, this is commonplace that other grocery retail outlets like Kroger, Walmart, et cetera, that when you're using a shopping cart, they have an electronic device attached to the wheel. If you bring that shopping cart out of the, a certain range out of the vicinity of the retail establishment, that cart will immediately lock up and will not move. So,
Right.
Chris, I know you had talked about potentially putting in barriers there. I fear that, as we had mentioned previously, that may conflict with ADA compliance, because people that use a wheelchair are going to need to get in and out of that space, and we certainly don't want to, hinder any accessibility to our neighbors here.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to do whatever in my power. I'll personally meet with him, and I'll go. If he doesn't respond, I'm going to go straight to Takis or Matt on the county board and put some pressure on him. This is a public nuisance.
Yeah.
People are piling up at Fillmore Gardens, piling up around the vicinity of your homeowners association at Adams Court. It's unacceptable, and it's terrible for their business. They're losing carts that could be used by patrons during the day, and they have no idea where their own inventory is. Mm-hmm. So this is just a colossal failure on management's part, and this should have been implemented years ago when this giant was implemented at Penrose Square.
Right.
So I'm over it. I'm tired of seeing them. I'm going to take care of it. So,
okay.
yep.
I just have a couple of little questions. Have anybody else in the association seen like the pictures that I sent you? Or
I have those. I have them right here. I was going to share them. Okay. Thank you.
The reason I'm mentioning that is, for example, I don't know what you call this street. It's an alley actually intersecting with 8th Street. And of course the carts are still there, but I actually went over there the other day and counted them, and there were 43 carts just in that one spot. Okay.
I don't know if my webcam is going to allow me to show this for some reason. I'm trying to pull it up.
I mean, it's so over the top now. And for those of you who've lived here a long time, like I have, you remember when we had a Safeway and a Giant, and I never remember this issue of carts every which way in the neighborhood. I mean, it's just insane now and getting worse by the day. So anyway, thank you, Alex, for taking that up and
absolutely
pushing on that.
So my webcam's not going to allow me to show the picture for some reason. But yeah, I will disseminate these pictures that you send me. I'll take a cell phone photo and I'll send these out to everybody on the association. Yeah, this is just such a public nuisance, an eyesore, and people and they just think they can go ahead and take them, and there's no pushback for management, or there's no penalty for it. They just go, oh yeah, well I've been doing it for years. I'll just take it with me and leave it outside. So it's not going to happen anymore. I'll tell you that much. So,
I live here on Barton Street next to Fillmore Gardens, and I have noticed that the Fillmore Gardens maintenance people, they use those carts too.
Okay. See, I'm learning bits and pieces of who's using them and who's taking them, and they should not be using those for their needs either. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, Jackie. I appreciate that.
I know when I've traveled over in Italy, some of the big grocery stores actually have, it's kind of like getting a luggage cart at the airport.
Right.
You pay for it and get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And so if nothing else, enterprising, if somebody leaves them around, enterprising kids could go take them back and get the refunds.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they do that at Aldi's. I'm a Aldi's shop.
Okay. I have
And-
not shopped there, but
Yeah, you put a quarter in the thing to want, get it off the lock. And it's like you don't find not one cart in that in the in that parking lot.
That's
Uh-huh.
true. That is absolutely true.
so there are multiple options and hopefully we can solve this issue.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So my initial thing is I'm gonna try to figure out which other local grocers. I think Harris Teeter, the one in Pentagon City, I think they have wheel lock, or somebody had told me that. So I don't want to go in there with, I'm gonna find some figures, cost and benefit analysis, and present it and say, look, this needs to happen. And if he's not receptive, it's gonna go straight to the county board. So, because Chris, to her credit, she's been really pushing on this with Ben Aiken, with her homeowners association, and the can just keeps getting kicked down the road. And that's a huge pet peeve of mine, especially while I'm here as president. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to be getting it done. So, yep. Chris Platt and I, for point 3, we met last week. He wants to put in a new Capital Bike Share location at Penrose Square Courtyard, and his other option was doing it outside of the Celtic House parking lot. And I told him, you're probably going to get some substantial pushback from the tenants at that shopping center, LA Bar and Grill, Lee's Cutting Edge, where I get my hair done, Celtic House. They like those parking spots. So I said, best option would probably be putting them in the Penrose Square Courtyard. And with the looking, down the pipe, we're going to have Cleveland Street be a whole new thoroughfare right on the west portion of that courtyard, with the expansion of and the construction of the Elliott coming down the next year or two. So from a forward thinking perspective, I think that would be a great spot to have another Capital Bike Share. So he's doing whatever he needs to be doing. He said he'll get back to me, any action items I can take, anything we can push on for that. So I told him, just, you got my number, let me know. And then another personal
One thing about
concern-
that, I'm sorry, one thing about the Capital Bike Share, we didn't want the bike share to be on the pike, because then people would be assuming that it's cool to ride on the pike. And it's so dangerous. We didn't want to set people up for accidents. And I'm sorry I missed that meeting, because I could have provided that then. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
There really
Yeah.
isn't a good spot. But
Yeah.
right.
And then our last concern here. So did we talk about the trash pile up on around Fillmore Gardens as well? Not just the shopping carts. I wanted to mention that. I had another resident reach out to me today about that, and he's not the only person that's reached out to me. So we're gonna see what we can do about that, because the trash pile up is just
Well,
No.
it's having a big rodent infestation
rodent
there.
infestation with the rats.
Hey,
Mhm.
hey,
Yeah.
Alex,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is Joe Everling. I'm the
Hey, Joe.
neighbor on.
Joe was the one
I'm
who
the
brought this to my attention. So go ahead, Joe.
So I've been at this since mid-August. I started with talking to Fillmore Gardens. They won't get back. Scott Management, who runs it, they won't get back. County Health came out and was awesome. They made a big investigation. The 600, 700, 800, 900 block of South Barton
Mhm.
has a major infestation in the backyards that back onto the dumpsters. After 24 days, the health department said, "Hey, they've made promises to do things we've recommended, because health has no enforcement against anything other than restaurants and hotels." They said open up a code enforcement complaint. They opened up a code enforcement complaint. They never even called. I talked to the code supervisor today, and he said, hey, he can give tickets for trash buildup, but not for dumpsters that are not maintained, and not for trash that's piled up hanging off the dumpster or dumpster doors open. And then he said you should call Solid Waste Bureau. So I put a call into the Solid Waste Bureau today, and to Ben Aiken. Ben Aiken told me that he trusts that the county bureaus will solve everything. But right now, I'm the program manager to solve the trash problem at Fillmore Gardens, because they won't do anything. And you have 3 different county organizations all saying that they don't have jurisdiction to solve the problem.
Yep.
And so
Right.
my question was, has anybody in the Penrose Civic Association dealt with something like this before to have recommendations on how to best
I
manage
have
the
a
county
question
because
for you.
they're not interested.
I have a question for you. This is
Shoot.
Darcy. I live in Dorchester Towers. We
Okay.
have garbage pickup 6 days a week, Saturday through, Monday through Saturday. And I know because I hear them every morning. Anyway, but my question is, what is the garbage pickup schedule over there at Fillmore Gardens? And if you get an idea, and have you seen the trucks or trash trucks that come by? And if so, can you call that company and see when the scheduled pickup is? If you're not getting any response?
American Disposal won't talk to me because they said I'm not the client. So
I
I've already,
see.
yeah, so I'm not, my issue is the county, we've tried to be neighbors and talk to them. We work with the county, and the county individually is very responsive, but there's nobody who will say, we are going to go out and look at this and
Right.
do something about it.
Right.
It's all left up to individually doing something. And so
I
I wasn't sure if
understand that,
anybody's,
but
yeah.
the more documentation you have and like contacting people will help support your cause. It sounds like this is an issue to take directly to county board or the city manager or the county manager to see what can be done.
The county manager,
Yeah, in
and
fact,
constituent service rep has said he's not going to do anything.
the county
Well-
manager said that?
Well, I'm assuming Ben Aiken is his representative, because that's who I wrote to. That's who wrote back to me.
Yeah,
Right.
I would suggest starting with sending an email to each and every member of one email, each and every member of the county board.
So
and-
without showing, yeah, I've done that. And I even went straight at Takis on Twitter and said, hey, what can you do to help? Here's what I've done. And Takis wrote back and said, DM me the details. His DMs aren't open. So I did an 8-thread on Twitter, basically saying, I emailed you on October 3rd. I gave you all the details. I'm looking for some help about how to get these 3 county organizations to work together.
Well,
Well, you know, I
There's
just
always
wanted
the option
to-
of filing a lawsuit. That tends to get people's attention. And there is, I mean, it's definitely something you could sue for.
Well,
I think
another
that
option is to notify local TV media. ABC
Well,
7's over there in Roslyn. There's your best choice. There's a good local source.
Yeah, I think without any other ideas for people who have actually engaged the county on a topic of trash with a major apartment complex, my next step was I started a Penrose, chat on the neighborhood group and gotten a lot of feedback on there. So I guess my next step was going to go door to door, dropping off a mailer to everybody's house, offering for them to give me their information.
We have Steph raising her hand. Steph, why don't
You want to go ahead?
So this is Steph. So when we had dumpster problems down by Route 50, down by the Goodwill and stuff, it was persistence. But finally what happened is we sent everything into, I think it was Arl Now. I think there were 2 other groups as well, Sun Gazette, although Sun Gazette is usually a little bit slower. So the groups are like Arl Now, they're always looking for really good pictures like this. And then showing, if you've got that pattern showing you contacted the property owners, you contacted the county, and listing the dates, times with that. And then the other thing that's going on too, the reason why the public embarrassment might work is the Elliott, which is supposed to break ground later on this fall, winter, soon. They're partially owned by the same people who own Fillmore. So they don't want bad press at all, because that plan is going through at this time. So Arl Now would be my suggestion, because you
That's awesome.
have exhausted absolutely everything that I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's why I'm at wit's end, and I'm coming to the civic association to say, this is exactly what I was looking for. That's an awesome idea. Thank you.
Can I say something? Because I live right across the street from the gardens. This summer, when I teach at Wakefield, so this summer when I was off, I have to admit, I did hear and see the trash people come every day. I mean, I don't know if they're still doing it now, but I have to admit, it's like I would hear it and I would see it. I don't know if they're continuing doing that one. But again, now I'm just talking about the dumpster that's here at 8th, on 8th Street here. Just FYI.
Alex?
Would it not help if Alex, on behalf of the association, contacts the board
I'd be
and,
happy to. Yep.
because, I mean, that's 7,300 people. Those folks do run for election. And so,
Yes, they do. Yep. No, Joe, after this meeting, you and I we'll set up a time to talk and we'll get it done. So I'm happy to
Okay.
help draft something up to the board, wherever you need, we'll get it done.
Okay.
Alex, are you able to share your screen if I show some of these pictures on the computer?
I have them only, did you send me an email with anything digital? Because
I can
can't-
send you
I can't share
everything.
them. Actually, you can see them, but they're really far away. And
No,
they
no,
keep
no. I
blurring
can
out.
send you everything in terms of further work, but I'm saying for tonight, are you able to share your screen to see my desktop or no?
Oh, yes, to see your desktop? Absolutely, yes. I can do that for you, yes.
Okay, because I can show some of these pictures, I mean, that tell you, to show you the extent of the issue here.
Absolutely. So Chris, if you go to the bottom of the Zoom panel here and you hit share screen.
Uh-huh. I'm trying to do that now. My
Okay.
cursor isn't moving around. Oh, did I lose you?
No, you're here.
Okay.
Just a green arrow at the bottom. So if you hover your cursor over your video towards the bottom
Yeah,
and you hit share screen.
hover it. Oh, I see. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. So now do I just go to my pictures?
Yeah, it may make you select this, which window you want to display.
Okay, so
Or which tab.
here's an example. Are you able to see it?
I'm still not seeing anything.
You're still not seeing anything. Share. Let me put you. How about that?
There we go. Perfect.
Okay. There's one. So this is not a little problem when I finally start writing people. Here's another one. Of course, we have rat problems, but it's not just that, it's how the whole thing looks. And I can send all of these to you electronically. Alex, the
That would be
only
great.
reason I didn't
Thank you.
send it previously was I was afraid they would just go to your like spam mail or something. But you see, this is a significant problem.
Oh, it's absolutely disgusting.
Hey, Chris, this is Joe Everling. Thanks for those pictures. I have a ton of them too, including the rodents actually eating under the dumpsters. And I've sent these all to everybody, and no one really seems to care in the county. I mean, I think they
I
care, but
agree.
they don't know what to do.
Right. I
You know-
haven't received any response at all.
You know, I had experience working with the county on the census, and they treat developers and apartment owners like they're little gods. And one thing we learned was that if you tell them you call somebody from the county, like a county board member or sports or somebody, call the owner of the whatever and say you must do something, people will listen to that.
Mhm.
But they treat them like little gods, and I don't really understand why. Maybe they don't want to lose contributions or something, or I don't know. But that might be an option to propose to them, like, Takis, get on the phone to this person, this management company, and tell them who you are and why you need it fixed. Anyway, it worked in the census because we got 99% of the census taken in Arlington, and that's amazing. And the reason is, at the Pike President's Group, we berated the person who is in charge of that and said, you have to personally call these people and tell them they have to do this. It worked.
Yeah.
Pete, Mary Pete.
Yeah.
Mind if I add something? I would also encourage Alex or your representative to go before the county board at the next county board meeting during public comment and get this on the record, right? I haven't dealt with the county officials quite a bit. One thing they respond to openly in public, right, to questions that are brought up during public comment. So if it doesn't happen before next month, plan to be at the next county board meeting and bring that up. This
Oh,
issue.
I will.
You have 2 minutes, and call it what it is, right? And they owe you a response publicly, and they may say, "Well, we'll follow back," but it's public, right? Public record. And I can tell you that they don't like that. They don't like being called out in public. Okay, emails are one. Yeah, there you go, Steph. Yeah, have your presentation with emails, photos, so that the assistant can bring them up and show them to the world and get some action. If you need some help contacting anyone or speaking with those members of the county board, Matt Differenti or whoever, let me know.
When you do the county board, email all of them, because all you're going to get is something like, Matt, oh, you need to, contact all, it's just passing the buck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Contact the other members, and it's just a bunch of BS. So if you're going to email them, email just, all of them.
Yeah, the silos are a tough barrier to break through.
That's a joke.
If I can just add here, I've been that route through the county board, agree with you, no real action. But when I sent the letter this time and decided to send it again to the paid manager, the representative, our state senator, etc., there were 3 items. One was the stalled construction on 9th Street, which has been for over a year of nothing. And I have to say that within 48 hours or less, everybody was over there working on this construction, and it has not ceased since then. So people did see what I said and at least responded to a portion of it. So that's the good news. I sort of gave up on the board and then went to the paid, our Arlington County manager, on maybe going again, knowing that they've seen it. Now, I didn't send this last time to the board per se with the 3 items, but I think it's a great idea, Alex, to if you are able to do that, to go in person.
I'm more than able, absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm going to connect with both of you personally after this meeting, and I'm going to synthesize all the correspondences you two have already put out to everybody regarding this issue. And then I'll put something together on behalf of the association. And we'll just keep escalating until we get a proper response and proper action.
Great.
We all need to be squeaky wheels.
Yep.
Agree on that.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't know what's coming.
So last slide here, some fun stuff on the horizon. I'd love to do an outdoor get together at Penrose Park at some point. Again, I'm a professional photographer by trade. I've spent the last 2 years in state and local politics, managing campaigns, taking a break from that. But that means that my schedule is kind of hectic. So I'm going to be gone for Halloween. I would have loved to do something on the 31st of October, with the kids in the area, all that kind of stuff, like a block party. I'm just not going to be here. But in lieu of that, this is official now, myself and Susan Thompson Gaines, I'm sure you've all seen her with her kindness yard sales, all the incredible work she's been doing in the community. Got a lot of big major media attention. Her and I on October 24th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And this is on the association Facebook page, and I'll be disseminating this, and we'll be posting this everywhere. Her and I are going to be doing a kindness community photo shoot. You can come sign up on Sign Up Genius and come and get your picture taken. And then in November,
That's lovely.
yeah, so I'm super excited about that. That'll be great.
And Chris,
and
or
we
Alex,
can meet everybody.
if you need additional photographers, I'll talk with you because I could help you as well.
Okay, awesome. You're welcome to join. Absolutely. Yep. I told her, so we're gonna do it kind of like how I did the Falls on the Pike, with the same kind of volume of people, the same kind of time slot, so it's not too crazy. But I'll be able to manage it. It's just gonna be a matter of me just taking a little time to edit the photos, get those out, because I had that wedding coming up right after. But it'll be a great event. So come, bring your dog, bring your friends, bring your family, and get a nice picture taken. So some fall holiday card stuff, that'd be great. And then lastly, so we had a few people that we wanted to have on this month. JP Montoya, who's the new from ACPD, who is the Latino Outreach Community Liaison. So we're planning on having him in November. And then my dear friend, photographer colleague Lloyd Wolf, I wanted to have him on to share his amazing photos from his exhibition that's being featured down at the Library of Virginia in Richmond. For decades now, he's taken photos of everybody in the community for a project he calls the Columbia Pike Documentary Project. And he's really chronicalized and he has got a new book out called Transitions, and it's perfectly titled, documenting all the new development and, how businesses have faded out and how the community has changed for good, bad, and for worse over several decades. So I'm looking forward to having him come on in November and share a curated selection of his work. And he's a dear friend and an incredible artist and photographer. So, and if you ever have any ideas, please submit any kind of cool, fun stuff that you have that comes to mind to penroseprez@yahoo.com. And with that, I think we'll close it out.
All right. Hey, Alex,
Oh,
can you hang on for a little bit?
Yeah.
All right.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.